Hello, welcome. Now we are going to draw a parabola, and a parabola is a locus of a point which moves so that it's always the same distance from a fixed point, which we shall call a focus, as it is from a fixed line, which we shall call a directrix. Now we need to be given our focus, and we also need to have a directrix. Now directrix is just a vertical line, and on that particular directrix we shall also have an axis, and this axis here we shall have our focal point drawn on it. So now the first thing we're going to do is draw the directrix, and allow me to use a pen for clarity to show the construction lines. So the first thing is to have our directrix. Now once we have our directrix, we shall now therefore continue having the axis. Now the axis is a perpendicular to the directrix, so we shall divide the directrix so that we can have now our axis. Now once we have this, we are going to have our F, which we are referring to as the focal point, along the axis. Now for us to have that X, it means we are going to measure 20 millimeter, because that's what we've been given, and now we can measure it with your compass. You can have your 20 millimeter, and then you transfer your 20 millimeter so that you have our F. Now we can name it as F. Now this directrix as well, we can name it as d1 or d1, d2. So that is our directrix. The third thing is to establish the vertex of our parabola. And the vertex of a parabola is to have the distance between the directrix and F. So if this one was 20, then it means our V, or vertex, will be 10. And now we can transfer our 10 here so that we get our vertex. Now we can call it vertex. The next step, we are going to have vertical lines that are parallel to the directrix, and these parallel lines are 8 millimeter apart. 8 millimeter apart. So we can have your horizontal edge aligned on one end on the left, and then with your set square we can draw those lines. So let's say our first line can begin somewhere there. We are not strictly given the distance from V, but let's just have it here, and then from there we can now have equal distance. So the next thing, we are going to have the equal distances of 8 millimeter. So we measure 8 millimeter. Then we can now put the second one begins there, the third one, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. So we can have those lines drawn. We can draw them. We can draw them with your edge, vertical edge, and with your... So the first one comes there. We can draw it. The second one comes there. We can draw it. The third one. The fourth. The fifth. Now good. Once we have that, we are going to be using F as the center with the distance of every line from the directrix. And then we make arcs along that particular line. We've taken the distance from the directrix. Like for example, we take the distance from that point to the directrix. That is the first line to the directrix. And then once we have it, we take it first, then you stand at F, you make an arc on that line. The second, we take the distance again from the second line, it is to the directrix, then again come with it at F and make an arc up, then arc down. Good. Once you've done that, we continue with the next one. Is this third line, from that line to the directrix, come at the center, the focus, then make arc on that line, very line, and then also at this side. We have another line, here it is. You can pick that distance to the directrix, stand with it at F, make an arc, make an arc. Then again, this line to the directrix. We are actually explaining what it is. Then at F, we make an arc, we make an arc. Then lastly, we are going to take now from the last line to the directrix at F. Then we make an arc, we make an arc. So once we have done that, we shall join all those arcs with a smooth curve, and we're using our HB pencil to draw our outline. So let's do it together. We can start from V through the first point, second point, third point, fourth point, fifth, sixth. Then we come back on this other side. The first point, second point, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So whatever we have is a parabola, and this parabola here we've just drawn using a focus and our directrix with 8 mm distance of vertical lines away from the directrix. Thank you.